I get it.
Okay, mbijan raganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la.
Ha, code nyinji.
Okay. Kosa. Nsila ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. I get it.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka. Mbale ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jang.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kodo kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi man domorol dil fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale di.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
ni wo ka ni lafta nyelen kendol e binaji.
Yalo bu kanyi la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
Gamcell data, now even better. Enjoy 20% extra data on all Gamcell data bundles. Buy 20 megabytes and get extra 4 megabytes. Buy 50 megabytes and get extra 10 megabytes. Buy 100 megabytes and get extra 20 megabytes. Any amount of Gamcell data bundle you buy, you will receive 20% extra data for free. Dial *302 data amount hash or go to your Yaiborom menu and choose your data bundle now. Gamcell data, it's fast, lasts longer and very reliable. Gamcell Yaiborom.
Alright.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop or download the app on your phone.
Hello, wherever you are watching us from. Welcome to this live coverage of the Gambia's 58th Independence Anniversary celebrations here at the Makati Square, where it all happened 58 years ago when this nation was granted the sovereign authority to govern and administer her own affairs. It's been 58 years down the line, and today, on the 18th February 2023, as usual, as it has been happening for the last 58 years, the nation have gathered at this historic venue where it first took place 58 years ago to mark yet another year of the Gambia's independence. And of course, ceremony has always taken the same formula, a march past of the country's security forces, as well as school children, mainly drawn from schools in the capital, Banjul. This morning, too, a similar format to the school children who have turned up here in large numbers, of course, all as usual accompanied by their teachers, to my gallery containing VIPs and dignitaries and other ordinary Gambians who have come up to witness this auspicious occasion. As you must already have seen in the background, the security forces of the Gambia from different units have gathered, and in the middle of the park, the stage is set for the arrival of His Excellency the President, after which, of course, he will tour and inspect the various security units here, working on that red carpet you must have been seeing right in the middle of the park. Now, the ceremony, of course, is going to be handed over, commentated and presided over by the masters of ceremonies, which normally are divided between the civilians and the security forces. And that master of ceremony will be taking us through to the various items on the program guide today. But what has been awaited right now, most significantly, is the arrival of His Excellency the President Adam Barrow, who, like I said, is going to preside over the ceremony with a speech to mainly traditionally directed at school children, but of course may also discuss areas about Gambia's evolution, so to speak, from 1965 to date. There have been, of course, significant developments in various areas, both in the building of the nation state of the Gambia, and as well as, of course, growing as an economy, as an entity of people from diverse cultures and languages, and being, of course, able to survive and being intact up to 58 years, certainly says a lot about how this country had progressed. Of course, on many fronts, of course,
Meanwhile, I would like to recognize the arrival of the Lord Mayor of Banjul, Rohi Maliglu. You're welcome, ma'am. Here comes the service commanders of the Gambia Armed Forces, the commander, Gambia National Army, Brigadier General Usman Gomez, the commander, Republican National Guard, Brigadier General Turo K. Jaune, and the representative of the Commander Gambia Navy Captain Sambu Barrow.
8 years of nationhood, and today, as we gather here to celebrate that, we will do as much as possible.
You're welcome.
Cohesion and in terms of generally availability of peace, because the countries almost by Senegal, where of course a very strong traditionally demonstrates, but then Nick was
in August 1977 in Banjul. He attended St. Joseph Ex People's Primary School from 1985 to 1991 and started to
all in the park, as well as lots of schools, mainly from Banjul, who will all be on the parade here as soon as the program starts. Then the march past, as usual, will be followed by a speech to be delivered by the President of the Republic of the Gambia, His Excellency Adam Barrow. At the moment, all the ministers, ambassadors, and members of the diplomatic corps have all assembled, taken their place, waiting for the arrival of His Excellency the President, so that proceedings can start. At the moment, we will hand over to the main master of ceremonies for the program, so that you can enjoy the preparations that are on.
General of the Gambia Police Force, Mr. Abdullah Sani, by Commander Sani.
With more commentary.
Your Excellencies, distinguished invited dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor and privilege to announce the arrival of the Chief of Defense Staff, Gambia Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Yakuba Edrame. Parade Commander, sir. You're welcome, sir. Your Excellencies, esteemed invited dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor and privilege to announce the arrival of His Lordship, the Chief Justice of the Republic of the Gambia, Hassan B. Jallow. You are welcome, Your Lordship.
Your Excellencies, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, the parade before us this morning is led by Lieutenant Colonel Abdullah Mbub. Lieutenant Colonel Abdullah Mbub was born on the 16th of August 1977 in Banjul. He attended St. Joseph Ex-People's Primary School from 1985 to 1991 and sat to the Common Entrance Examination. Lieutenant Colonel Mbub proceeded to Gambia High School from 1991 to 1996 and sat to the West African General Certificate of Education, Ordinary O-Level Examination. The senior officer, upon graduation from high school, briefly worked for Gassam Construction Company as a clerical assistant at various construction projects within the country before joining the Gambia Armed Forces on 8 February 2000. From October 2003 to July 2008, Lieutenant Colonel Mbub was privileged to attend the National Aviation University, the Ukraine Pilot School, and International Civil Aviation Organization Regional Training Center in Kerr, Ukraine, under a government scholarship, where he graduated with a private pilot license on the Yak-52. The senior officer is fluent in both Russian and Ukrainian languages. In April 2013, he attended Aviation Safety Management Systems, Safety Assessments, and Safety Cases Training in Johannesburg, South Africa. From September 2013 to October 2015, Lieutenant Colonel Mbub was again privileged with a government scholarship to further pursue his aviation dream at Spartan College of Aeronautics and Technology in the United States of America, where he equally obtained another private pilot license, commercial pilot license, and certificate pilot license on the Cessna 152-172, the Piper Seminole twin engine, and the Piper Arrow, acquiring a total of over 1,000 flight hours. From January to July 2017, Lieutenant Colonel Mbub attended the prestigious Nigerian Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Jaji, Nigeria, under the Department of Land Warfare. In September 2019, he did a course in Air and Missile Warfare Navigation and Legal Dimension at the Geneva Center for Security Policy in Geneva, Switzerland. The senior officer from September 2020 to August 2021 attended the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. He also attended the Army Faculty of prestigious Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College. In pursuit of academic excellence, the senior officer holds the following academic degrees and certificates: professional private license from Spartan College of Aeronautics, certificate flight instructor, instrument rated CFII by the Federal Aviation Administration, USA, certificate aviation safety management systems, safety assessments and safety cases, Johannesburg, South Africa, Associate of Applied Science degree, aviation flight with honor privileges, Spartan College of Aeronautics, Bachelor of Science degree, aviation and space technology, National Aviation University, Ukraine, Masters of Science degree in defense and international politics from Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA. Lieutenant Colonel Mbub joined the military as a member of Intake 23 on 8 February 2000. He was commissioned and promoted to the rank of Lieutenant on 1st January 2008, Captain 1st January 2009, a Major 1st January 2016, and Lieutenant Colonel on the 19th May 2022. The senior officer did numerous courses commensurate to his rank. Among the courses he did are as follows: Commando Training course at the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, Basic Officer Training course at the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, amongst others. The senior officer in the service of the fatherland and humanity in general held several appointments. Notable amongst, he served as an instructor at the Gambia Armed Forces Training School, Platoon Commander, Acting Principal Staff Officer, Army Headquarters, Staff Officer Grade 1, G3 Current Operations Cell, Force Headquarters, United Nations Mission in Liberia, amongst others. Lieutenant Colonel Mbub Work and dedicated to duty has earned him number of awards. He is a proud recipient of the following awards. He was the third overall best of Intake Recruit 23, Commandant Merit Award for outstanding performance during Intake 23 recruitment training, UN Peacekeeping medals, among host of others. He is happily married and blessed with children. The parade YC is Superintendent Ansumana F. Sanyang, and the parade adjutant is Captain Sirandu Gassama. The first detachment, from my far left, is the Gambia National Army Male Detachment, led by Captain Abdullah Jaju. He is ably assisted by Lieutenant Aliu Damfa and Lieutenant Landing Colley. Second detachment is Gambia National Army Female Detachment, led by Captain Awatamba. She is ably assisted by Lieutenant Lilian Kujabi Mani and Lieutenant Mansara Tamba. Third detachment. The third detachment is the Gambia Navy Female Detachment. It's led by Navy Lieutenant Ramun Jai. She is assisted by Sub-Lieutenant Lala Njai and Navy Sub-Lieutenant Fatou Louis Demba. The fourth detachment is the Gambia Navy Male Detachment, led by Lieutenant Pamoudou Mboub. He is assisted by Navy Sub-Lieutenant Mamoudou B. Jallo and Navy Sub-Lieutenant Ibrahim Y. Sane. The fifth detachment is the Republican National Guard Male Detachment, led by Captain Usman Kamara. He is ably assisted by Lieutenant Musa Kamara and Lieutenant Lion Jay. The sixth detachment is the Republican National Guard Female Detachment, led by Captain Adam Ajata. She is ably assisted by Lieutenant Kumba A. Jawo and Lieutenant Faru L. Njai. The seventh detachment is the Gambia Police Force General Duty Female Detachment, led by DSP Amijaba Sonko. She is ably assisted by ASP Aishadu F. Sonko Jete and ASP Mariama Jallo Gassama. Detachment number 8 is the Gambia Police Force General Duty Male Detachment, led by DPS Keba Tambiru. He is ably assisted by ASP Mamad Huma and ASP Yadabo. The ninth detachment is led by DPS Lamin Bisa of the Gambia Police Intervention Unit Male Detachment. He is ably assisted by ASP Musa M. Jaju and ASP Ansumana Serikan. Detachment number 10 is the Gambia Police Intervention Unit Female Detachment, led by DPS Nyara Tamba Bojang. She is assisted by ASP Mamboy Sise BI and ASP Fatou Manjanjai. Detachment number 11 is the Gambia Immigration Department, Female Detachment, led by DSI Ramatullah Gay. She is ably assisted by ASI Maimun Tarawale and ASI Ramatullah Ba. Detachment number 12 is the Gambia Immigration Male Detachment, led by DSI Malam Bojang. He is ably assisted by ASI Fode Makalo and ASI Ibrahim Salah. The 13th detachment is Gambia Prison Services Male Detachment, led by Superintendent Sehunjai. He is ably assisted by ASP Usmanes Kamara and ASP Modusane. The 14th detachment is the Gambia Prison Services Female Detachment, led by Superintendent Tida S. Kuyate. She is ably assisted by ASP Aissatou Baro Jallo and ASP Nima Bojang. 15th detachment is Gambia Fire and Rescue Services Female Detachment, led by Divisional Fire Officer Jara Fofana. She is assisted by Station Officer Jenna Bojang and Station Officer Adam Bojang. Detachment number 16 is the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services Male Detachment, led by Assistant Divisional Officer Habibu Shao. He is ably assisted by Station Officer Usman Cham and Station Officer Mustafa Sane. The 17th detachment is the Gambia Revenue Authority Male Detachment, led by Senior Collector Lamin Bari. He is ably assisted by Collector Momodu Tarawale and Collector Mustafa Koli. Detachment number 18 is the Gambia Revenue and Authority Female Detachment, led by Senior Collector Fatumata MC Jallo. She is assisted by Collector Aisha Dubite and Collector Ya Fatou Lou. Caller part is led by Senior Ensign Captain Aisha Tarawale Ndur, and Junior Ensign is Navy Lieutenant Abba Nyasi. Escorts to the caller are Staff Sergeant Lamine Jaju, Petty Officer Haruna Kurubali, and Sergeant Seni Jaju.
Your Excellencies, esteemed invited dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor and privilege to announce the arrival of the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Fabakary Tombong Jatta. You're welcome, Honorable.
Distinguished Your Excellency, distinguished invited guests, in continuance in the introduction of the parade, the bandmaster is Captain Momodu Koli, and drum major is Sergeant Nongo Basir, assisted by Sergeant Jai Aisatu. Parade RSM is 001 Ibu Koli, and conducting warrant officer is 002 Baji Musa, assisted by 002 Kamara Buba. Thank you for your attention.
Your Excellencies, Your Excellencies, esteemed invited dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, I have the singular honor and privilege to announce the arrival of the First Lady of the Republic of the Gambia, Fatou Baro, and Lady Sajo Mbalo Baro. You are welcome, Your Excellencies. Your Excellencies, esteemed invited dignitaries, and ladies and gentlemen, while we await the arrival of His Excellency, President of the Republic of the Gambia and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Mr. Adama Barrow, GMRG, I would like at this juncture to recognize duly the presence of the Cabinet Ministers here present. Meanwhile, we shall be kept entertained by the Gambian Forces Band and Drums while we eagerly await the arrival of His Excellency, who is the Chief Guest of Honor for this year's 58th Independence Anniversary Celebrations Parade. Band and drums.
Hello and welcome back to Kerr Fatou coverage of the 50th Independence Anniversary celebrations right here at the Makati Square in Banjul, where historically it all started in 1965. We are now well into the morning ceremonies with the units from the security forces already poised and gathered and of course been prepared to perform the march past after inspection of course by His Excellency the President, whose arrival we are still waiting for, but already distinguished guests, cabinet ministers, National Assembly members and all others have assembled in the square to take part in this very important national event, the Independence Anniversary celebrations. The country is 58 years old, like we have already highlighted, and it had politically witnessed 3 successive governments from Sadauda Jawara right down to the current president, Adama Barrow. And along the way, of course, the country had several achievements on the fronts of stability, national unity, and to some extent economic advancement, depending, of course, on the people you ask. But overall, everyone should agree that the fact that we are here as a nation still united and having survived much or prevented, much of the upheavals that have really gripped our sub-region, you should thank ourselves as Gambians that we're still here celebrating the nationhood with stability and peace. Of course, there are lots of other areas that are still leaving much to be desired in terms of economic development, in terms of well-being of the people, in terms of even to some extent cohesion as a nation, because a lot of things divide the people during the past 26 or so challenging years of our political history, particularly. But all the same, this is Independence Day, 18 February, a date traditionally known all throughout the Gambia as a day that Gambians should sit down and reflect as a nation. And then, of course, listen to His Excellency, the President, to talk about his government's, policy and views on national matters, particularly the speech is directed mostly to young children, school children who are assembled here. The square is fairly filled. The pavilion, the covered pavilion, almost filled by ordinary people. But of course, most of the visitors are all in the tents that have been built around the presidential days. They, along with the people, ordinary people in the pavilions, are facing the middle of the park. And that is where these very beautiful ceremonies should take place. Now, if you look at the history of this whole thing, you will go as far back as before independence, when you will, of course, remember politicians, trade unionists, and even ordinary Gambians who have fought tirelessly for the liberation of the country from colonialism. Among the early politicians, of course, who combined both activism, unionism, and politics. You remember the people like Francis Edward Small, and then you come to people like P.S. Njai, who was the Gambia's first chief minister, and you come to Sadauda Kairaba Jawara, you come to people like I.M. Gaba Jahumpa, Sheriff Mustafa Diba, of course all of them blessed memory, and Sadauda Kairaba Jawara. All of which have played a leading role in the shaping the political future of this country. Because of their work and dedication, a nation called the Gambia was born 58 years ago. 58 years, of course, is really fairly a long time in the life of a nation. But of course, comparatively, the country is still young. But then, of course, looking at the history of the independence of African nations, yes, the Gambia and others who came after it were only maybe 5 years younger than most of the countries, because most of the countries were liberated in 1960, except a few, including Ghana, of course. Most of the nations were liberated in 1960 onwards, 61, 62, 63, up to 65, except perhaps in the Portuguese colonies, where the struggle for independence continued until the 1970s. Almost all the colonies on the continent have been liberated by 1965, except perhaps, like I said, the Portuguese colonies who had to fight liberation was. Now we can hear the Sharan signaling the arrival into the hall of His Excellency, the President Adam Barrow. The army band is poised now, singing some traditional Gambian songs mixed with some martial music, and as soon as His Excellency the President comes in, the protocols that goes with his arrival, such as inspection of inspection of guard of honor, as well as giving speech broadcast to the nation, particularly directed to school children, will be given. Any moment from now, His Excellency the President will be into the arena. I can hear from the drum beats and the clapping and the dancing from the different group of people gathered here. Now you have seen for the first time the motorcade bringing His Excellency the President. He is now entering the side of the stadium, that's the gate that is close to State House. He's been escorted by, of course, a number of security forces in plain clothes on his left, right, behind and front. He has already started acknowledging the crowd and waving to acknowledge the greetings of the crowds. The car is moving majestically in front of the convoy of security, mainly security personnel. And it looks like the car will have to go around the entire circumference, if you like, of the Makati Square before it ends up at the presidential days, where he will embark and then will be escorted by the army for the Guard of Honor inspection here at the Makati Square. 58 years ago, and interestingly, the president himself is 58 years old, almost, in fact, in the same month, almost only a few days shy of the first independence of the country. So he is about a couple of days older than the Gambia as a nation. But so this must be really, quite a significant anniversary for President Barrow, because not only is his country celebrating 58 years of independence, but he himself is 58 years old and have only recently, actually a couple of days ago, celebrated his 58th birthday. Now the convoy has gone three-quarter way, I would say, into the square. Is now around the main gates from the Independence Drive, now going towards the to the right corner and then bending. Now is moving towards the presidential days, where the tents are built, where most of the VIPs, cabinet ministers, are sheltered. Of course, there is a stream, a column of people who are lined up just in front of the fence inside, also acknowledging the president as he continues waving towards the crowd. All the security men from different units combined are here, and they are all poised and set, all in their service regalia, immaculately dressed, of course, as usual for the occasion. And now the president is going to disembark his vehicle and will be immediately greeted by the gallery of dignitaries gathered there. One would have, of course, thought, mind will come to the fact that there is still no vice president. Normally, the vice president would have been there before him and would have, of course, all the senior officials, senior cabinet ministers are all here. But at the moment, it is the duty of the military to show him around the very impressive gallery of service people here who are poised to mount the guard of honor for him to inspect, and that's what he's trying to do. Bokkee ñu ngi leen di nuyu fii ci Makati Square fii ci Banjul ci baye bu mag bi nga xam ne fii lañ dee def Independence Anniversary Celebration at bu jot depuis 1965 léegi tollu na juróomi fukki at ak juróom ñett bi Gambia moomee boppam baye bi ne daanaka léegi mun nañ wax ne daal bari na ay nit léegi nañ déglu national anthem bi.
You may kindly resume your seats right after His Excellency the President takes his seat. Distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, as protocol requires before we venture into the program proper, we would like to first and foremost commit ourselves in the mighty hands of Allah by seeking His blessings for a hitch-free and successful event. It is on this note that I respectfully invite the
presided over by President Adam Barrow. Now, very soon what will follow, of course, will be inspection of this guard of honor, like we've discussed. It is the quite a important item on this morning's ceremony. On each occasion, the country marks independence anniversary celebration. Here you can see the formation of the various security units, and of course a cross-section of the people who have come, journalists, other securities, and ordinary Gambians who have gathered. This view is right under the covered pavilion. Where a gallery of journalists and of course ordinary people have gathered. I mean, the covered pavilion is still sparsely populated. In other words, of course, most of these visitors or guests have been sheltered on large tents that have been built. We are now, of course, going into the ceremony proper.
صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار ربنا وأتنا ما وعدتنا على رسولك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد اللهم بالذل قد وافيت بابك عالما أن التذلل عند بابك ينفخ وجهلت محتمدي عليك توكلا وستك في سائلا أتدره وبحق من أحببته وبعثته وأجبت دعوة به يتشافه اجعل لنا من كل ديه مخرجا والتف بنا يا من إليه المرجع ثم الصلاة على النبي وآله خير الخلائق شافه وشفه اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد الفاتح لما أخلق والخاتم لما سبق ناصر الحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله حق قدره مقدار العظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين بحرمة لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم آمين يا رب العالمين
Amin, Ya Rabbal Alameen. May Allah answer our prayers. May I respectfully invite Bishop Banimanga to also lead us in prayers in the Christian ways. Bishop.
Please let us pray. Great God of nations, we give you thanks and praise for our nation. We are honored to be called Gambians, and we celebrate your goodness and mercies that continues to follow our nation since independence. Lord, we celebrate the fact that when others have doubted the existence and probability of our nation, you have helped us by your grace, so to make ourselves a nation worthy of emulation. We give you glory, we give you honor. Today we pray, mighty God, that as we celebrate our independence, you will heal our wounds. You will bring forgiveness unto this nation. You will allow us to know reconciliation. And Lord, you will truly allow us to practice our democracy such that peace and development will be our true marks. On this day of our independence, we celebrate all who have served us, and we celebrate now those whom you have allowed to be in the hands of authority. We pray for our president and for the cabinet and all who work in making this nation what it is. May your hand rest upon us all, and may your grace be sufficient even for this nation, that as we continue in our celebrations, begun, continued, and ended, it will be to the honor of nationhood and to the glory of your holy name. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and our Savior. Amen.
Amen. May the Lord answer our prayers. Your Excellency, President of the Republic of the Gambia and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Mr. Adama Barrow, GMRG. Your Excellency, First Lady of the Republic of the Gambia, Madam Fatou Barrow, Lady Sajo Mbalo Barrow, Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, His Lordship, the Chief Justice of the Gambia, Secretary General and Head of the Civil Service, Honorable Cabinet Ministers here present, Honorable Members of the National Assembly and Members of the Judiciary, Your Excellencies, Members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, the Chief of Defense Staff Gambia Armed Forces and the Inspector General of the Gambia Police Force, Armed and Security Service Chiefs, General Officers and Senior Officers here present, Heads of Government Departments, NGOs, parastatals, private companies and institutions, Venerable religious leaders, members of the press, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, All other protocols duly and respectfully observed. On behalf of the National Organizing Committee, I would like to welcome you all to the Makati Square in Banjul for on this fateful Saturday, 18th day of February 2023, we once again gather to commemorate our Day of Independence. We are gathered here to celebrate, honor, commemorate, reflect, and pay homage to a day and an event that shaped the course of history in the Gambia and the world at large. On this day in 1965, the Union Jack was lowered and the Gambian flag hoisted to mark the birth of a new nation called the Gambia. On this day, the Republic of the Gambia joined the great family of free nations as an independent nation and free people. Hence, 18th of February is set aside each year as a national day in the Gambia to celebrate, reflect, and honor this fateful day when the chains of bondage and colonialism were broken and the Gambia became a nation of a free and dignified people. On this day, the Gambia and her people, armed with faith and hope in the spirit of progress and peace for a greater nation, embarked on this historic journey in search of socio-economic development and growth. Today, we gather here together in that same spirit of continuing to build on that historic journey. On that note, I have the singular honor and privilege to announce the inspection of the troops on parade by His Excellency, President of the Republic of the Gambia, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Mr. Adam Barrow, GMRG, Parade Commander South.
Good morning, Your Excellency. 58th Independence Anniversary Celebrations Parade from the 59 officers and 424 other ranks in open order, ready for inspection. I am Lieutenant Colonel Abdullah Abu, the Parade Commander, Your Excellency.
Welcome back. Well, we have now entered, come on, for some people, the most interesting aspect of the event, that is the inspection of the Guard of Honor by His Excellency, the President of the Republic, of course, led by escorted there and led by the commander of the parade, who and his men were earlier introduced and are now taking the president on a conducted tour, if you like, of the large deployment of security men and women that carries the security of this nation, or I should say on whose shoulders the security of this nation lies. And this is a very important symbolic feature of the nation. This is the day when the nation demonstrates and expresses its sovereignty, shows to the world that as Gambians, we are organized along what obtains in other nations. We are capable of managing our own affairs, politically, economically, traditionally, culturally, and every other aspect being managed by Gambians is what this event is all about. If there's any more significant meaning, that should be that the people of this country must, on a day like this, sit back and reflect as to the journey, how the journey had been. Have we missed out on what we should have become? How far have we achieved the aspirations and needs of our people? Where are the areas we have failed? And what are the solutions that we are going to get to fix those? Of course, most of these questions are directed to the governments of the day. For example, people like that man in the white gown, in President Barrow, whose job it is to guide this nation through thick and tides to ensure that the aspirations of the people, to the best of his ability, is addressed. Since 6 years ago now, this is what exactly he has been trying to do. And before him, of course, we discussed here about the two other governments that have had the duty of guiding the nation from 1965 to then 2017 when President Barrow came to power. I think we have still got a significant way to go to cover in the inspection of the Guard of Honor, after which the President will retreat to his shelter, where of course we will once again join the main master of ceremonies for the next item on the program. Everything of course culminates, like we said, in the speech by the President, in which we expect him to discuss the activities, policies and views of his government in the recent past, and perhaps give hints about the direction on fronts such as education, and security, economy, as much as possible, as much as he can address, to mainly the school children and Gambians in general. And then we will then have the bigger and much more expansive march past of voluntary organizations, school children, of course all the services that are gathered here. That's another interesting, very enjoyable aspect of the Independence Anniversary celebrations. Almost every Gambian has had a memory of this event, whether today as an old adult elderly man or as a grown-up who must have participated one way or the other in the Independence Anniversary celebrations. The McCarthy Square, of course, is where it all started 65 years ago. And there are a number of occasions, of course. The ceremony took place at the Independence Stadium, which is currently under repairs. But most people have said that perhaps this ceremony should remain at its traditional birthplace, which is the McCarthy Square, here at the heart of Banjul. mbokk comme ni ñu ko doon waxee balaa ndoori ni programme bi tey la Gambia am juróom-ñetti fukk ak juróom-ñett biñ moomee suñu boppa at bu nekk bés bii nii mbooloo mi yëpp dañoo dajaloo fii jiite leen di président ñëw ñu celebrate luñ am ci réew mi.
Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like at this juncture to acknowledge the presence in our midst of former Vice Presidents,
the main master of ceremonies,
Bakari Buja Dabo and Dr. Aïssatou Touré. Also, former President of the Federal Republic of Somalia and our own Lady Chilel Jawara. Next is going to be the slow march to be followed by the quick one and advance in review order, Fire for Joy, and the three hardy chairs to be led by the parade commander for this year's celebration. Parade commander, sir.
Slow and in quick time. Advance in review order. By the center. Right wheel. Slow march.
Please resume your seats.
Your Excellency, after the march pass in slow and quick time, advance in review order, 5 for the joy and 3 hearty cheers. May I have your permission to march the parade, Your Excellency?
YC for this year's parade ceremony. The last but not the least, March the Gambia Armed Forces Band and Drums, led by Captain Mamadou Koli. Thank you very much for your performance. And at this juncture, I would like to respectfully cede the floor for the Director of Press and Public Relations at the State House. It has been a pleasure to have been supported by the Director of Press and Public Relations, Gambian Forces, and the media officer of the Gambian Forces Public Relations Department. I am Captain Malik Sani.
Thank you very much, Captain Malik Sani, for that brilliant commentary and also the pre-independence PR engagements that were so excellent on the media. Thank you very much. Today, I think we have a little bit of civic education. I'm glad to have civic education for the education. It's very important that we understand these things as civilians and maybe other people who are not even civilians. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Colonel, for the education you've just given me on the side here. Maybe the audience today, Your Excellency, Excellencies, Lord Mayor, and we have the speaker here. We have I think the CJ is also here, Chief Justice is also here. I understand that former vice presidents are also here. His Excellency Bakari Bunja Dabo, Her Excellency Dr. Aissatou Touré, and all the dignitaries around. We say good morning. My name is Anaboyan Sisaho, the Director of Press and Public Relations. I'm sure you appreciate the entertainment by the Gambia Armed Forces Band and how they have displayed and helped the armed forces to give us those nice, slow and quick marches for today's celebration. I'm sure you'll be wondering, but there is a hierarchy in the whole armed forces and the security forces. You will realize that you had the Gambia Armed Forces first, India Green, the Navy, and the guys in red, that's the Republican National Guard. Then you had the police and the Gambia PIU, the Gambia Immigration Department, prisons, and of course we had the Gambia Fire and Rescue Services and the Gambia Revenue Authority, all part of the security forces. We thank them for the excellent display and we wish them many, many happy independence celebrations. The importance of the symbols of the nation has been emphasized. I was just asking Colonel, why is it that when the flag is around the president, he stands up? He said it's a symbol of respect. So as civilians, we have to learn this. As the march continues, now it is the Gambia Police Band that is entering to entertain us and to lead the march past with the school children. And today marks the 58th independent anniversary of our nation. That is when we gained independence from the United Kingdom. It's a symbol to say we are ready to rule ourselves, to govern ourselves, and to ensure that we have all the structures in place to make sure that we as a nation can strive. At this point in time, we thank the Gambia Police Band coming in and the nice Red from Banjul. Today, we have 9 schools from the lower basic schools that are going to be part of the march. And we have the upper basic schools, 5 of them, and 6 senior secondary schools. We have the athletes and the sports boys and girls. We have Region 2 marching right now, passing the commentary team, followed by another group that is the Region 3 athletics of the North Bank region. We have the Regional Education Directorate, Region 5 of Sierra North, who are also with us with their nice banner, Gambia at 58. Thank you. You have Region 5 still, Sierra South athletes, Region 6 athletes, they are all passing. Interestingly, we now have the schools led by Mr. Musa Mende, our expert on the National Organizing Committee, leading St. Mary's Lower Basic School with their nice teachers. They have their red and white checks, and the teachers are in white and red headscarf. We are followed by another school that is Methodist. We have the Kampama, that is St. Joseph's Lower Basic School. They are also in their blue and white, nice socks, white socks and black shoes. And we have Methodist Preparatory School, following suit also in their blue and white uniform. The girls are in skirts, and then the boys are in their trousers. Kampama School also follows with dark blue skirt and white and blue check, and also they have their school teachers also guiding them. Today, Independence Day, is an important day. Reverend J.C. Fai is one of our historical forefathers who led us to independence. Their school is named after him, and they are just first marching past to the president. And Mr. Red, as he is known, is also right behind the Reverend J.C. Fai School. We have another school that is the Muslim Madrasa that is also marching. They are in their jalibia, they are in their white jalabia and brown uniform, followed by my school, my former alma mater, Wesley Primary School, in green and the yellow stripes around the uniform. The boys in brown, also another alma mater, the Adrian Primary School, in green and white check and brown skirts. We now have Gabajahumpa School passes by in green and off-white, yellowish skirts. We have also passing along. I think now we have the cyclists who are demonstrating that they're also part of this celebration. So it's across the board. We have the cyclists with their bikes also celebrating and walking slowly as part of the march past for this 58th independence anniversary. Those are the same who are trying to entertain. But then we have seen another group of women coming in. They have their banner labeled Ibu Fight for Mayor Bani. Oh, that's a political group there. They also try to show solidarity to be part of this march past. So we thank everybody who is here today. As they take their positions, the schools are taking their positions as part of the march past. And I can hear the drum of the police calling Lige Jotna, Gambia and Nabopa. That is very important. When we say we are independent, we must work hard to make it viable, to make it fruitful independence. And there are women also marching across, showing their solidarity. And they also want to march and salute His Excellency. We thank everybody for being here today. This is a very important day to remember our forefathers who really fought to make this day possible today. We are celebrating because some patriotic Gambians came together and realized that we need to be independent, we need to work hard, we need to survive and govern ourselves as a nation. As we move today, we need to understand that when we talk about independence, it's a lot of hard work to feed ourselves, hard work to secure ourselves, hard work to make sure that we promote peace and stability. As you may know, the Jalis are also passing with our traditional instruments like the balafon. And we have the Jalibas, which is part of Gambia's identity in celebrating our cultural identity. We thank everybody for the march past and for coming in. His Excellency is actually waving them to say, symbolically, we recognize your presence, and Mr. Flagman is also there with his flag. Police band entertaining us. His Excellency is now taking his seat after the march past of the children and the Gambia Police Band. This is a very interesting. I think we are going to first have Suleiman. That is Gambia Police Band entertaining us while we settle now for the speeches and ladies and gentlemen, the rhythm is carrying people along to do their slow march. And thank you very much, Gambia Police Band, for that entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, the 58th Independence Anniversary is set around the theme this year, Democracy, a Recipe for Peace and Development. So we have a pleasant surprise for you, Excellency, distinguished guest, special poem that has been initiated by a young poet in the name of Jaina Bature, who reflected on the theme of this year and tell us her reflection through poetry. We now call upon Ms. Jainaba Toure to recite the poem she has for us today as part of the independence anniversary of the Gambia. Ladies and gentlemen, we are glad that we had a pleasant march past, and then we also happy that the weather is nice and cool today, and we thank God for that. And it reminds us the importance of the climate in our daily lives. Today is cool, everybody is calm, and we are now witnessing Jainaba Toure being escorted to the podium by Ms. Zainab Fall to read her poem for us. Jainaba, welcome to the 58th Independent Anniversary celebration.
Today, I will finally speak. I am Gambia. I will remind you of the trees that filled in my skin, how water ran through my veins into my lands. I will remind you of the coast and how she smiled, how I had a welcoming soul, blessed with tribes with beautiful languages filled with harmony, how I groomed my children to love and be loved. I will remind you of why you loved me. You loved me because I didn't give birth to quakes and wildfires. I have been drowned in prayer. A land blessed with worshippers. I dwell in God's mercy. A land where one bowl served everyone. You didn't have to be blood to be a part of. You're always welcome. I taught you to understand the value of a soul. I taught you to understand that you're only but human, that selflessness is also a virtue and patience runs it. Now listen, when I stumble, you will stumble. When I stoop, you will stop, and your feet will take the soul. Again, listen. You turned away from being your brother's keeper to ripping a brother that sinks you deeper. Again, listen. You embrace new ways and forsook your ways, so you lose everything. They tell you to leave, that you are withering away, that there is no hope further today. Have you met the strangers of this land? How they advance and decline regression? Have you met them? No, I don't think you understand. This land becomes everyone's home. Have you asked yourselves why they came to stay, but you crave to leave? Some of you can't. It's the love for home. When you leave, who will bring hope back home? Hope is honesty. Hope is improved education and fulfilled responsibilities. Hope is establishing strong systems. Hope is hard work, discipline, and goodwill, holding on to the truth that will give birth to your gold. Hope is patriotism. From Greece, democracy came, taught you to be heard, that the majority are as significant as the minority. I don't think you understand. Democracy taught us to be heard, that freedom revolves and fear is exempted, that with democracy peace prevails and development surfaces. We sought for a nation which grows with its people, rallying behind her, where we set a course for a cause, where a leap of faith is a leap taken in faith. Good conscience is required. You cannot love a nation's treasure and abuse her. Love what you own. Fight for your people. Fight for your people. We own democracy, we shape it, and until we embrace us, democracy will remain dictated. We strive for each voice to be heard. Have you thought of unity? How it builds a nation? If we lose sight of our values, how then can peace and democracy prevail? How then can it be a recipe? When we are the recipe that ruins democracy, how then will we bring hope? When we are the recipe that takes hope away from home. Mr. President, I greet you, sir. I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jainaba Toure, for that reflection. We thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on the theme democracy, a recipe for peace and development. Your Excellency, Excellencies, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, without wasting a lot of time, we'll be preparing the podium for His Excellency. Meanwhile, we want to promote one of our beautiful cultures where we will have Jalimanda and team to come over and do what we call Kamansa Kumandi Kakumama. Badingol Benna Bankola Jurarola, Juraro Mia Lonko Sanjita Lulu Aninse, Biringambe ya Fansoto Tubab Maroto, Bi Juraro Mbetembo Minto, Presango Janabi Nadi Amula, Mbajela ngana ado do balundi mi yalon ko ada nyi malom nim man sawulta fo ala jalol ye kumama be wokela jang badin se moso hakilo la ko nyinang be juraro min kekam sanji talulu anin sey akumaya tale pour ngalon ko ninko demokrasi ngam fansoto je wo demokrasi fansoto mumuneti kaje ko ngam fambalundi ngam famara mara nyanyi mala mi yalon ko banko ibaje la ko ni ko ngam famara munon famaroti ye tare fambulu ye fambalundi ye fanganyandi ye kairo sabatindi ye yirwa suto kono woyati na fo mbe menkela wolon kaje ko sante nin tara ko Gambia ba fansotola nyanta kato kelale nga do koke nyinte benna mboka yi ñu di leen wax rek ne maaj bi ñoo def fi mooy fàttale ku juróom fukki at ak juróom ñetta bi Gambia amee boppam si tubaab yi pour ne dinañ amee seen boppa kon suñu amee seen boppa moom seen boppa ñoo war a dundal suñu boppa naka la ñoo dundalee suñu boppa foog ñu liggéey takku gis ne liñ war a defar réew mi ñu def ko parce que suñ ne réew doomi réew yaa tax ñuy wax ku nekk am na sa taxawaay waaye fi mu nekk nii nag ki nga xam ne moo war a ñëw wax si muy ndey mbila mi mooy His Excellency President Adama Barrow waaye dañ baaxoo ne aada bi nga xam ne moom lañ am aada bu rafet mooy ne su bu jógee dinañ ko jox wàllam ci wàlli aada géwélam yi dinañ ko maada kon nag ñu déglu Jalimanda and team.
Iya masako Adama Barrow ko ala ya fiza masakole Iya masalo base masalemo Iya masalo jimara masalo Iya masalo fuladu mansala nyami mansa badibu mansa nyani mansala kiya mansa ala la fiza mansa kone jara mansa fele foni mansa fele badibu mansa fele fele iye mansa ko Adama Barrow Adama Barrow Mansaya dalunka Sima ya dalunka Sidoga ya dalunka Harjau dalunka Harjenta ya dalunka Ala ya juma jalola tare da mansade kama Gambia bankuka Fatou Bake Sajon Maloke ini mansaya Adama Barrow Mahmoud Barrow atare ini mansaya Gambia Adama Barrow Baba Fa Karjatu Fa Musafa ini mansaya Gambia Adama Barrow aliwayo
Welcome back to the live coverage of the Gambia's 58th independence anniversary celebrations on Kerr Fatou, live from the McCarthy Square, where it all happened 58 years ago. Well, we are now getting to the climax of the event with the President of the Republic, Adam Barrow, expected to come up the podium to deliver his independence anniversary speech. Now, traditionally, this speech contains policies, ideas, achievements, and projections that his government had recently either embarked on, conceived, or about to deliver on. And of course, it also sometimes centers on the importance of patriotism. Here is the President.
Thank you very much, Ami Bojang, Director of Press. We are celebrating 58 years of nationhood. But 3 days back, I also celebrated my birthday. Your Excellencies, the First Lady, Fatou Barrow, and Madam Sadio Mbalo Barrow, former Vice Presidents present, Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, my Lord, the Chief Justice, His Excellency Sirif Sheikh Ahmed, former President of the Federal Republic of Somalia, former First Lady, Lady Chilel Jawara, honorable members of Cabinet and the National Assembly, Lord Mayors of Banjul and Kanifi Municipality, regional governors, members of the diplomatic and consular corps, representatives of international organizations and partners, political party leaders, government officials and service chiefs, community and religious leaders, fellow Gambians, boys and girls. Annually, we observe our National Day on the 18th February to renew our ties and commitments as a nation. It is an occasion that creates opportunities for solidarity, reflection, and rededication to our motherland. As we celebrate Gambia's 50th independence anniversary today, let us therefore focus on our common futures as Gambian citizens instead of our differences. We are compelled to coexist as Gambians and should accept the wisdom and necessity of living together in peace and harmony to develop our homeland despite our diverse opinions and interests. Fortunately, our differences can be harmonized by democracy. As a political system and a social process, in our family systems, communities, institutions, organizations, and the nation at large. For this reason, the theme for my address this year is democracy, a recipe for peace and development. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, democracy allows us to consult, dialogue, negotiate, compromise, and accommodate dissent. It is a system that rejects injustice, inequality, suppression, dictatorship, and autocracy. In addition, it promotes rights, freedoms, procedures, and regulations. In the Gambia, as Democrats, we maintain the supremacy of the Constitution and the rule of law, with due regard accorded to our diversity. Convinced that democracy is a framework to attain peace, development, and stability, my government is duly committed to good governance and trained in the principles of democracy. We believe in democracy for peace and development, as well as democracy for self-determination, economic growth, and protection of human dignity. In brief, we believe in inclusive democracy for inclusive development and stability. In our model of democracy, the government legitimately derives its mandate and authority from the people, and hence must defend their values and principles, beliefs and practices, aspirations and social structures. In this way, there is harmony between the government and the people. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our National Day is a reminder for us to showcase our patriotism and loyalty as proud Gambians who are willing to accommodate one another. To this end, my government is determined to unite the people, to work together for peace and development, and leave behind durable achievements. Our governance approach and development initiative illustrates our commitment to democracy and how we have successfully used it as a development model. Ladies and gentlemen, 2022 was a challenging year. It confronted us with rising living costs and hiking prices of fuel, influenced by the global crisis. This reduced the ability of households to fulfill their basic needs and responsibilities. Conscious of the responsibilities of the state and to deliver on our promise to stabilize prices, my government took strides to ease the accompanying hardship imposed on the people. We took various steps to lower the price of fuel, which has implications on business transactions and the price of commodities. We will continue to monitor the public institutions and work with the private sector to maximize their contributions to national development and to improve living standards in the country. Fellow Gambians, distinguished guests, boys and girls, although we have made numerous inroads into institutional and infrastructural development, we are eager to do a lot more. We have broken new frontiers in providing electricity, Yet we are keener today to reach and serve all parts of the country better. We have expanded healthcare provision and improved the health sector. But our desire is to have a healthy nation wherein life expectancy equals the best in other parts of the world. The targets for these aspirations are embodied in the new 5-year recovery-focused development plan and Vision 2050. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in all genuine democracies like ours, there are adequate checks and balances to prevent unlawful actions. The law provides a level playing field for all citizens. As such, living by the law ensures that we do not offend anyone and thereby coexist in peace and harmony. In this sense, peace must imply living in a safe environment where lives and property are protected, and hunger, poverty, and disease do not cause any suffering. Through our thoughts and actions, peace must also filter through to every segment of our communities, families, and institutions. Our national agenda, as defined in the new development plan and Vision 2050, outlines how to recover from the effects of the pandemic, inflation, and climate change. These documents also map our routes to attain our national goals and targets. We must work hard, however, and look into the future with guided optimism and readiness to overcome challenges. Unlike natural disasters, we have full control over the choice to act in a civil and democratic manner to maintain peace and develop our country together. Thus, let us make a conscious choice to demonstrate that we are indeed the smiling cause of West Africa and a democratic nation of peace, especially during the forthcoming local government elections. Distinguished personalities, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, peace, stability, and development go together. Hence, a common characteristic of the strongest nations is stability. They have overcome the fear and incidents of instability, particularly through military takeovers and unconstitutional uprisings. In contrast, conflicts and military takeovers persistently hinder Africa's development. Often sections of a nation rejoice when there is a military takeover, but it is always short life. The people must rise against the horrors of wars, conflicts, and unrest, beginning with the gallant citizens in uniform. We have noted that in recent years, the elite in African armies have stayed away from unconstitutional actions. This should now filter down to all ranks within every army on the continent. As we did in 2016, there are legal and democratic and constitutional ways of removing unpopular governments. So there is no wisdom in choosing paths that lead to unrest and destruction. As we internally manage the affairs of our dear nation, we must also look inward with more patriotic vigor and unite to strengthen internal security. Recent reports of armed robbery, stabbing, and such unfamiliar brutal acts of cowardice in our society threaten national security. I call on the general public to step up in neighborhood watch networks and be more vigilant. Criminal acts leading to injury and loss of lives are unacceptable and will not be tolerated. At the institutional level, my government will continue its capacity enhancement efforts for the security sector to competently handle and decisively prevent such deadly crimes. Looking ahead, the younger generations will appreciate us better if we construct a future of comfort, peace, and happiness for them. This is what democracy offers. Boys and girls, my government continually refers to education as a priority and will never cease exploring ways of ensuring that, in the long term, we have a literate and sufficiently skilled population. Education is the key to development, and the more adequately trained and skilled citizens we have, the greater our chances are to lift the country out of ignorance, poverty, and ill health. As school children, boys and girls, you have always played a significant role during our independence anniversary celebrations. I urge you to take your participation beyond the morning parades. Reflect on the significance of the day among yourselves and strive to become a new breed of democratic citizens. Like every responsible parent and citizen, I advise you to work hard at school, love your country, and endeavor passionately to contribute to its development. Be law-abiding, grasp the technologies and opportunities before you, and never despair of success. This is an era of knowledge, technology, and seeking evidence-based solutions to challenges. Beware of these and be mindful of the consequences of your actions. Wherever you may be proud of your birthland and its people. Always feel proud to say, I am an African and a true Gambian. Because all that glitters is not gold. Do not be deceived by the distractions you may come across. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot mention the school children without reference to the teaching fraternity as a major partner in development. Teaching is a noble profession, and teachers influence character formation and shape society. Learners excel in educational institutions because of the processes teachers manage therein. Accordingly, my government is interested in the performance of our students as it is in the welfare of the teachers. As a result, I call on our teachers and all those in public service to always pursue the path of dialogue in handling their concerns. My government has an open door policy and will engage with its workers to reach amicable and realistic compromises on matters affecting their welfare. We appreciate and thank the teachers, the school children and their parents, the security services, the participating organizations, and all those who have contributed to the success of this celebration. The security services have made the occasion lively and joyful. We appreciate and thank them most sincerely. Likewise, I am thankful to the friends and partners of the nation for their support and contributions to the welfare of the people. Indeed, I deeply appreciate all those who have turned out today to celebrate the day with us, and I congratulate everyone present and the entire population on this joyous occasion. As we leave this venue, let us remember that in the true spirit of democracy is embedded the recipe for peace, development, and stability. Similarly, in solidarity and hard work lie our economic growth, success, and prosperity. To succeed, we must unite. I wish you all a very happy Independence Anniversary celebration. God bless the Gambian nation. I thank you for your kind attention.
Welcome back. That was the speech delivered by His Excellency the President, Alhaji Adama Barrow, on the occasion of the 50th Independence Anniversary celebrations here at the Makati Square. And of course, it is the pick of the items on the menu of this event. Well, as of course predicted, the President discussed achievements his government had realized in the recent past. Specifically, he mentioned infrastructure, advances in infrastructure, healthcare, education, and several other areas. He, of course, noted, acknowledged that there are still so many gaps to be filled, but the desire for the Gambia to become one of the countries with the best facilities in terms of human well-being and economic prosperity is still very much high on his government's agenda. And he also talked about, or rather he thanked very well the participation of the security forces and the people who have turned up here. And he told the school children that they must not just stop reflecting on independence from this march parade here, but also to sit back and reflect and to think and love their country. Because he said that's the only way they can continue to be good citizens of the country in future. He said, of course, there can't be any advancement without unity. Therefore, he emphasized that we must unite in order to forge ahead or to make progress as a nation. Of course, he talked about the need for, like he said, of course, he lamented that in most parts of Africa, upheavals such as military coup d'etats and disruptions to democratic processes have hampered developments in many areas on the African continent. So he forecast an Africa where true democracy will reign. And he placed a lot of emphasis on the need for the maintenance of rule of law and democracy, saying that those are the prerequisites for a peaceful nation such as the Gambia is yearning to be. Bokke loolu mooy kaddu président Adama Barrow fii ci Makati Square fi nga xam ne foofu la ñu jural suñu fukki juróom fukk ak juróom ñetteeli at biñ moomee suñu boppa fii ci Makati Square comme niñ ko daan def rek ministre si présidents ak borom nomba tànke yu bari dinañ fa dee dajee ñu déglu ko mu wax lan la nguur gi mën a am ci at yi passé ni ak nguuraam bi lu mu jubluwaay pour am ko jubluwaay nguuram lu mu am wala mun ko def ci at yi ñëw nii moom wax na ci mbiri infrastructure mooy mbiri jokkooy mbiri wergu yaram yi mbiri njàng bi wax na mbiri jaamatam mu ne no soo ko seetee réew yu bari ci Afrique depuis independence ak léegi fitna yu mel ni ay coup d'état yu du jeex ak yeneen fitna ñok jete na réewi africain yu bare ba mënuñu am naataange bu ñu waroon a am mu ne Gambie fii de try nañ lu bare ci anam yu bari pour am wergu yaram bu doy am kaaraange bu doy am njàng yu doy ak jokkoo bi tam bu baax waaye ba tey moom wax na ne am na lu bari lu des wante mu ne nag foo ñu jokkoo suñ jokkoo duñ mën a am kanam ba pare wax na ne tax xale yi mu ngi leen jërëm ak sécurité boo borom mbaxana yi ak borom uniforme yi fi teew neexal nañ jotaay bi mu ne xale yi itam wax na leen ne buñ fi jógee fii war ñu fàtte affaire indépendance dañu war a toog seen néeg seen classe xalaat indépendance te raw na ne pour ñëw fi rek dem mu ne ëpp na loolu na xale yi seet ba pare bugg seen réew mu ne suñ buggee seen réew mu ne dinañ mun a liggéey su ko defee ñoom tam suñ màggee su boobaa dafa fekk ne bugg nañ seen réew liggéey nañ ndax réew bi mun a continuer di am naataange daanaka lii la fi président wax te waxam nag moo jeexale li gën a important ci mooy njeexte li gën a important ci programme bi dina continuer nag ay cultural exhibition si dinañ am ba pare xale yi school yi ak voluntary organisation dinañ match génn ci stadium bi waaye nag waxit président bi daal moo tënk li gën a am solo ci ndaje bii nii nga xam ne tey la 18 February 2023 loolu nag mooy juróomi fukki at ak juróom-ñett depuis Gambia moomay boppam 1965 ci baye bii nii fii fekk ñu bari fii nag juddonguñ ñu nekk ci diggi xam naa ne ñu nekk ci diggi baye bi moom jenne wala lu ëpp jenne wala te boobu juddonguñ xale yi école ak seen teacher ci yëpp juddonguñ time boobu noonu waaye nag am na ay mag yu nekk ci pavilion si nga xam ne ñoom ñu mel ni xaala Samba laaj naa ko léegi mu ne moom mi mu ngi toogoon fii ci koona bi fale mu ngi taxawoon foofu bési independence 1965 nga xam ne lu daw na yaram baɗigol ngal konton Kerr Fatou live mbe Independence State mbe Makati Square. I think the national anthem is going to be sung for the very last time. That was the last occasion the national anthem will be sung here as far as this event is concerned, and it also signals the imminent departure of His Excellency the President from the square back to State House Well, normally, of course, traditionally, there would be later in the evening a state banquet commemorating the anniversary of our independence. Not clear whether that's very much on the menu, but that's of course reserved for invitees from different sectors of the community. At the moment, as you can see, the President of the Republic is taking leave of the dignitaries and the cabinet ministers and other VIPs present here, slowly walking his way. Normally he prefers to walk back to the State House, just a distance, but I'm not sure whether he will do this. But then this actually is the beginning of the ending of these 58 independence anniversary celebrations with that speech by the President. What may follow now could be further cultural displays by the various cultural groups gathered here, and of course the dispersed parade of the many groups of security and others who. And I ask Honorable Mama Kande, the leader of the Gambia Democratic Congress, and Bakari Dabo, the leader of the Gambia for All Party, and were all present here. Among others, we are all present, and they were greeting the President as they leave the parade. A number of former vice presidents also were also in audience. They are now taking leave of the President, who is still, milling around with the people in the crowd as he prepares to depart the square. And like I said, the various groups that have taken part in the march past, the voluntary organizations, these are cabinet ministers, along with other dignitaries who are also filing past the President, shaking his hands as he heads back to State House. I'm not sure whether he will decide to stroll back or join his car. Well, sometimes he does that. The security men are busy trying to clear the way for His Excellency the President's departure. The pavilion naturally is quite empty now because everybody is filing out to find their way home. But it's been a day memorably commemorated, so to speak. The country is now 58 years old, and as the President said, I think time to reflect, time for reflection on all Gambians, to check what has been achieved, what could have been achieved, and what should be improved on, like the President said. But of course, as head of state, he is the one on whose shoulders most of the things he talked about himself rests. And it is hoped that when we come back here next year, he would have a lot more tangible achievements, as he would like to tell the nation on that occasion, which of course will be the 59th edition. Badingol saying futara bengo nyin kumfad latole kabrin president di amuta makati square jang Gambia la sanji tallula ni sanji say independent juro menkata saying so manda kata fo nyin tilibulo saying Gambia sanji tallulu sanji say le soto kabrin independent soto 1965 sango kono nyim baye kono jang woni saying temo o meta de mo jama be nyim bengo to jang wol mandra wol mawuluno taymo bar dol be jande ben yan kebal men yalan ko woli yo kalam dalo lum folo fon e be kafo kono jang komando ni ndol kacata no e kay tan kay di nimma be nun damento ka je yitandi be nun lori damento independent folo kata sango men sanji tallulu sanji say command woni sayente ma dum men siata man sekunda saba wala sotota saba njawm be wala kono janteng mi yalan ko adama barole wo nyaton kaya ay diamol kejang diam jang ay kumol fo menu keta nyaato taati ate lamma sekunda e mennu ke
menu sotono ni sanji dandang kono woto wa diamta futa nyomo la mola futa nyomo fo silol lembang fo monel mayol fole ani karango fanana bundala londo bundala kachata wala nin jata kenda ay foko nyaato ta jamalle sorota je bari hani sain ade fonction dala ko ku jamalle nyanta tara koma men yalan ko wol si sodo nole anden bara ko men ko marole mu gambela hamo pour katra bankol kono menu tata nyaato wo hamo be jele hani sain anara nyim fanan ko fitnol menu be ko kude tal ani nyim fitna ko tangol way mo findu banku jamalle batandi kabre independence ta ni sain tema anata fo dindingol fanay ko ni bota jang kana danjinna don ko ndara independent ron sayta hani nyanta silale ye mira independent fon e men nyininka you know si continue si bara wala saje banko si continue ka nyato ta soto anatana uniform tiol security kan banko kanta bundal jayi ko wol fana e bengo diandele e bengo atina bengol hamo menta ni nyata benta benkuta ana dindingol fana jayi anila ululalu anila teacher solol fana mabe o men ke jani kafu kotangol men be kafuta yalan ko be match ta jayi be jayi ay mol be tento ay jayi menu nata bengo nyin to jang and wol kono al nyaaje nga politique nyatan ko dol jeje men ko mama kande membe GDC Bakari Dabo membe Gambia for all wonene keta vice president otile nyimbanko kanjano ani minister place olto vice president folol musol ay dr Aissatou Touré ngol fana jenu jande aning politique nyatan ko kuno kumbal jamal fana tarra jang sibul sabandol menu ritata koto mal ngol fana je janne nyaton kol sojar nyaton kol ning police nyaton kol ning immigration ani national intelligence wol bele be jang ngol bele benta jang ani mo ko tan kenson men bota karo bela e bele benta jang sain ka foni sain men to je dal wala maji labon men to je moli e funti kata ba han sain ngabe president be kafo korolan sain de pour kapta wato dol naka kata ni singol la kabo jankata state house o man jam fa janna ka baye ton kondol mam motol jeje folo tema maybe tuma do abitani walla ani molbe nyo konton kan dolbe diamola ani dolbe diamola dolba konton kan abe sarakan dolla atla diamo dal wala be ngo kumfa jang wala kita gambela sanji talul sanji sey fan soto jurawde men kita banjul sate kono bi makati square a funditalie Kerr Fatou abe funtik abe ke kan nyamal wajube kanu Kerr Fatou le ka bring somanda be ngodatta nyami ngana tata nyami ngal ya beju be janne saem fe mantuje ko teke dal fo nga menu marata bengol la ngamire leftade announcement do le kala bar menu men tre bengol fay même fo wala président wala diamo sa wala diam labanti ben kala jam membe to la jam ko te kasi comme nga fanya ci keno cultural group ol men kajang wala fa ke anu dini wala na match ka funti e ko wala batu fang ke police ban batu killing de funti match pass. Well, that will be, I think, the last part of the coverage of the 50th anniversary independence of the Gambia with the speech of the President of the Republic. What is left now is for the column of school children and voluntary organizations to find their way out of the stadium. Meanwhile, the President still remains very much in the square with a lot of people greeting him, taking leave of him, and here and there shaking his hands and smiling or sharing a joke or a chat. Meanwhile, the police band is busy composing songs both of tradition or martial nature, as it is customary of this occasion. Okay, all right. So we will stay with the pictures from the center of the square where the president is still around, surrounded, of course, by cabinet ministers, members of his political party, and other people. It looks like he has still a lot of people wanting to shake hands or bid farewell to him. As far as the other invitees are concerned, everyone has now left their seat on the pavilions, either going home or perhaps waiting to shake the hands of the president or to partake in whatever formality he is engaged in now. But as long as he is in the square, of course, the other protocols remain in place. You can see the security struggling to keep people away from his path. School children who are not in the parade have already started dispersing. Well, this is it's been happening for 58 years, yet anytime it happens, it is one more addition to the life of the country we call the Gambia. For 58 years, it's been this nature since the reins of this country and its affairs has been handed over to Gambians themselves. The struggle to independence, as we have discussed earlier, started, of course, way before 1965. And key players we mentioned included Reverend Jesse Fay, Francis Small, I am Gaba Jahumpa, Sadauda Kairaba Jawara, of course, among others. Pierre Njai, and others whose efforts culminated in the constitutional conference that happened in the United Kingdom that leads to the independence constitution, which finally gave birth to the republic, rather a country called Gambia in 1965. Earlier, of course, in 63, we've been given self-government, but in 65, we become an independent state, and then in 1970, the Gambia becomes a republic. Well, most analysts believe that that was when the independence actually started, but then independence formally was given to the Gambia on the 18th February 1965 at this very square. The Union Jack, that is the flag of the British Empire, was lowered, and the red, blue, white, and green flag of the Gambia was raised for the very first time. At the time, they said the Gambia's population was about 500,000, about 500,000 back in 1965. Imagine how small population was at the time. And for 15 years, we were told, until 1980, we were told the country was being supported by the British government on its budgetary requirements. That really speaks volumes of how this country was viewed very much as an improbable nation, a country that many thought could not stand on its own, a country that many thought will have to be subservient to the bigger state called Senegal. And many predicted there will be difficulties in relations between the Gambia and Senegal, given the difference in the colonial of the colonial administrations, French and English. We were told that the independent leaders such as Sadauda Jawara and others resisted any suggestion for the Gambia to join Senegal, and they insisted that the country must be a sovereign nation of its own and manage its own affairs. So Soudan team defied all odds and confronted all critics and skeptics about the Gambia's or the viability of a state called the Gambia. And definitely their efforts have paid. We are celebrating 58 years of nationhood and 3 3 governments that are run by our own people in the course of 58 years. A tremendous achievement by all right. But of course, as a day when we should reflect, there are going to be different opinions as to how the Gambia have progressed, how we have advanced, or the lack of advancement or progress, depending on who you ask. But then the fact that we exist as a nation, the fact that we are able or managed so far to survive threats to our very survival, in thinking in terms of conflicts or whether they are religious or political nature or even military nature. There were, of course, serious incidents that has threatened the stability, the security of the country, notably in 1981 in July, when there was 3 or 4 days of madness, carnage, if you like, when hundreds of people were killed, and what was supposed to be a military a takeover that ended in anarchy. And then, of course, in 1994, democracy was disrupted as we used to know it, and for 24 years after, 22, the country experienced autocracy and autocratic rule under an autocratic leader. So the Gambia had a fair share of all kind of administration, a stable democracy from the beginning, a disruption of 20 years or so out of autocratic regime, and back to democracy. And I'm sure history writers have had enough chapters for you and I and myself to go through whenever they are writing about the history of the nation called the Gambia. 58 years, and we believe that, well, comparatively, still a young nation, but then, of course, enough time for a country to have reached some, if not all, of its aspirations. Given our size, in population, and of course in land size, many argue that the kind of resources we may have, which of course are not natural, could have done better than we have been able to reflect on. There are so many sides of argument as to what could have been achieved and have not been achieved, and what could be achieved in the immediate future with the right leadership and enters politics, because that is what they said will make the Gambia realize that is democracy and good governance. As we speak, the president seems to be waving to the people for the last time, perhaps, and as school children march, filed past us here and then to the exit of the main stadium. The president is definitely now leaving the square, and like I said, he preferred to walk back to the State House, just a stone throw from the crowd, and columns of people, security of course prominently, surrounding him and marching in front, on his side and behind, escorting him to the State House via the gate next to the former medical and health gate, now transformed to be part of the entrance of the State House. Now, most of these people, of course, will stop at the entrance there as the president and just a few other people along security then proceed to State House. And now I guess they have arrived at the main gate where most of these people who are milling around him will have to stop. And he will then go. Badingol, sa kam da fen to je kota ke baye kon sa fu ka sey. Al nyabe president la abe sey kan State House mol batele no manon sai. Sa fu dara bunda to fang me alan ko mo jama be je. Wol bedan na wol to well bunda fula dole be nyaato de meni ba no ma jama bale kanata no ka fundi stadium ko ba ngalom bunda fula njangoto de mo jama be dan na wole to ate dung Kamuru State House and wole mo bengo nyin kumfa dulate bengo nyin kita Gambia la independence sanji talulu sanji say wole ma wole jura jambi saim nyimben sifa kota kotina kota ka fo ni ala mabe jaar ni jon tumola ala be mabe la o frank president be mula nan janne ka yitandi munni mune kita sero ni nyinan tema wala nyinan ni jaar tema awing ibe kata kol meno ke kan molla baluto molla tankoto molla jata kendato molla molla futa nyomoto udunol be batele kan president baro anala man sekundar andai kuma kamol men fo jang ko men nga faale nyame wolam bel be ma saim fal fon sa jubel fon le ko sain danaka banta banjul janne fereng mol bebe frikam pour kasay. So that will be the end of the coverage of this live coverage of the 50th independence anniversary celebrations of the Gambia, which came live to you from Kerr Fatou from the Makati Square. I'm Lamin Cha, and on behalf of all the technicians and crew and CEO Fatou Toure, we wish you have a great independence. Thank you for now.
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, Takaful Fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.